It's the best in sports and entertainment, and get locked in and locked down with Rhino Radio Penitentiary, 7 a.m. to 10 a.m. with your host, me, Ryan O'Neill, each and every morning, right here with the best in sports and entertainment, all the way from professional sports to college sports to River Dragons hockey and everything in between, including some of the very best local and national guests. It's the Rhino Radio Penitentiary, 7 a.m. to 10 a.m. Monday through Friday, right here on 99.1 FM WQEE.
Are you looking for a reliable dental practice that not only cares about your teeth, but is friendly to work with? How about one that offers great deals and new patient promotions? Well, your search is over. Most Valuable Smiles in downtown Eatonton, Georgia is committed to giving you the biggest and brightest smile. Right now, get a $99 new patient special, including x-rays and exam. Maybe you're looking for veneers. Most Valuable Smiles veneer special includes one free veneer with every 5 purchased. Or get that bright white smile you've always wanted by taking advantage of an exclusive $100 off Zoom whitening treatment when you book today. And don't forget that 2022 is almost over. That means most insurance policies will reset by the new year, and to avoid losing that extra money, you need to use it or lose it. Book an appointment today with Most Valuable Smiles in downtown Eatonton to lock in these exclusive deals. Call 706-623-0318 or visit mostvaluablesmiles.com.
Hey, Braves Country! Braves Country HD is bringing you Braves Country Baseball. Braves Country comes to you every Tuesday night and Friday night, and 2 bonus games every week. Hi, I'm Mac McGee, and we'll be bringing you play-by-play, pitch-by-pitch of your Atlanta Braves. It's free to listen. Please like and subscribe. YouTube.com/@BravesCountry. Braves Country Baseball, for the fans, by the fans.
Here's good news. There's still a need for hundreds of thousands of cybersecurity professionals in the U.S. right now. And My Computer Career is training people to help meet the demand. No IT experience? No problem. Take the free career evaluation today. Start your new life as an IT pro in as little as 4 months. Grants covering up to 53% of the cost are available to those who qualify. It's not rocket science. It's mycomputercareer.edu.
Enjoy sun-drenched days, epic stays, and plenty of room to roam in Greater Fort Lauderdale. Our hotels, attractions, and restaurants have taken the Visit Lauderdale's Safe and Clean pledge, so you can relax and explore with confidence. When you're ready for that well-deserved staycation, our 23 miles of golden beaches await. Find wide-open spaces to hike, bike, kayak, and paddleboard. Visit your favorite attractions, then dine out in style in dining rooms or al fresco on waterfront patios. Learn more at sunny.org.
Braves Country today. We're talking Southern sports. We go live 3 to 5 weekdays right here on WQEE. Braves Country today, Southern sports talk with the voice of Braves Country baseball, Mac McGee. Joined every day from sports analysts from all over Braves Country, talking college football, the NFL, Major League Baseball, and what's trending in the world of sports. Braves Country today. We go live 3 to 5 weekdays right here on WQEE.
It all starts with just one thing. When recycling, rinse out jars and cans, and avoid recycling wax paper or paper soiled with food. This will reduce recycling contamination. Find tips and more at onethingus.com. What's your one thing?
Hey, sports fans, it's Rod Peterson here, host of The Rod Peterson Show, inviting you to join us daily for 2 hours of Atlanta's funnest sports talk right here on WQEE. I say fun because it is. You've never heard a show like it because we make the listeners a part of the show every day between noon and 2 p.m. Eastern. You'll hear plenty of the best sports talk, including the latest on the Falcons, the Braves, and more. And who knows, you might even hear you. That's the Rod Peterson Show, daily at noon, right here on WQEE 99.1 FM.
You're in Braves Country.
All right, Braves Country. Your Atlanta Braves win the series. It was disappointing that we lost the last game of the series. But look, here's the thing. Until it becomes important to them, it's not going to become extra important to us, meaning we want to win the game as fans. But until Braves brass, and I'm talking about the managers from up top, et cetera, until they stop running Yanni Chirinos out there and trying to convince us that this is some kind of a attempt to win, it really isn't. Not only do they run him out there, well, we talked about this in the pregame and during the game at the very beginning, and I've talked about this the last few starts with him. If you run Yanni Chirinos out there for more than one time through the order, you're pressing your luck. If you run him through there the second time in the order and he comes through unscathed, count your blessings. The third time through the order, no shot in hell is he getting through. And that's what they tried to do. And third time through the order, they'd seen his junk pitches. He only has a couple of effective junk pitches. So basically what you're looking at is it the slider, is it the sinker? They both don't come in at you hard. And even a veteran like Chirinos can only mask it so much. And the Braves lose a tough one. I did like the fact that they continued to fight. I like the fact that they got down 7-3 on a long road trip. We are in the middle of a span of 14 games in 13 days, and 10 days, 11 games were on the road. Now, granted, the Cubs are the only team in that span that we're looking at that have a real chance of making the playoffs, right? But even still, they're still major league games. They're still not, I'm not going to give you a bunch of horse manure talk where you can sit there and try to tell you that they're great teams, but they're still major league baseball teams. And they're still looking at the fact that on any given day, you could go in there and really end up with what is essentially a hot pitcher. I wouldn't have called Kodai Senga last night a hot pitcher. I'd just say that he pitched. Kodai Senga did Kodai Senga things. That's what I expected to see out of Kodai Senga is what we got. A guy who gave up a few runs. We got to him early. He settled down. He pitched okay the second part of the game. Nothing blowing you away. The Braves didn't piece together a couple of hits. They could have had a few more runs. But the main thing was from last night, when Cheerios is on the mound, you're going to need something a lot stronger than a bowl of cereal to get through it if you're a Braves fan. That's what it is. That's what it is. That's where we're at. He's not going to be a part of the plans for October. We know that. This is a tough part, a tough stretch where they're trying to spell some things. I still think that they're trying to work things out with Soroka. I still think that they're trying to figure out his mechanics. He doesn't look right when he's come up. Yeah, he's better than Cheerios, but they don't have long-term plans with Cheerios. The long-term plans of Soroka obviously ends next year. We've talked about how he's going to be a free agent at the end of 2024. But the long-term plans could be making him look as good as he can be so you could trade him in the offseason. You don't know what's going on in the heads of the brass. So we put that game aside. It is what it is, and it damn sure ain't what it ain't because it wasn't a win. But once again, Braves offense came in. It was good to see Marcell Ozuna come up with that big bases clearing double. It was good to see Sean Murphy hit a home run. That was a blast too. And then another, red hot. We're going to ride him as long as we can, Matt Olson. I wish this was going on beginning of October. Matt Olson hits like this in October. you can go ahead and start fitting yourselves for rings, Braves country. Matt Olson has just been unreal. And he goes out there and hits another home run last night, for those of y'all who might have missed the game. It was an absolute blast. Watching the at-bat as we're doing the game, and the whole time I'm looking at this. So the first 3 pitches, I just mentioned he was pitching outside. Didn't want to get in his wheelhouse. And I mentioned right before the pitch was thrown that the catcher was setting up inside. And I'm sitting there watching this going, man, he better not miss. Because if he puts it in the wrong place and boom goes the dynamite and that ball was gone. And I'm starting to really fall in love with the way Matt Olson, when he hits one and he knows he's got it, he knows he didn't miss it, he just kind of puts his head down, goes to his trot. And I'm sorry, but that to me is much cooler than any bat flip, pounding of the chest, any kind of celebration that any Major League Baseball player does. Matt Olson gives you the Jerry Rice celebration. Remember how Jerry Rice used to just go over and hand the ball to the ref? Because he'd been there before, and he was planning on being back again. Barry Sanders used to do the same thing. Nothing wrong with the celebrations, but my favorite celebration is the non-celebration. What did you expect? You hung one right in my wheelhouse. Of course I'm knocking it out. Not the look at me, can you believe I did what I did? So Matt Olson goes out there and hits another blast over the weekend. He chases down and passes Shohei Ohtani for the league in home runs. Matt Olson is now sitting there with 43 home runs and 107 RBI. And it has just been an absolute blast to watch him pitch. Absolute blast. And Atlanta is going to go into today. It's Max Fried Day. So we're excited for that. Max Fried's pitched well coming back. He was a little bumpy last time out. But all in all, you can't dislike what you've seen from Max Fried. He's going to come into tonight against the New York Yankees, who are licking their own wounds. They blew a 5-run lead in the 9th inning, giving up 6 runs, losing the game. I think I have that right. I know it was 7-2 at one point. Let me double check that real quick. It was 7-2 at one point. I know that they gave up a boat ton of runs in the 9th. I was busy getting ready for last night's game, and I was listening to it. I didn't actually get to see it. Okay, yeah, I'm sorry. It was a 4-run lead, 7-3 going into the 9th inning, gave up 5 runs. But at one point did have at one point, the New York Yankees led that game 7-1 going to the bottom of the 6th. They gave up a run in the bottom of the 6th, made it 7-2, and 7-3 in the 8th, and then 5 runs to lose 8-7. Holmes, their closer, is the one that spit the bit. He threw a lot of pitches in that inning, so I don't expect him to be available for this game anyways. And I think that's one of those ones where you want him to kind of reset. And they're going to send him back out there as soon as they can, because the last thing you want a reliever to do is to just stew over what just happened. But we're going to get Clark Schmidt today of the Yankees rotation. He's been in the rotation. He's been a solid pitcher for the Yankees. He's 8-6 with a 4.23 ERA. I follow him quite a bit because, as some of y'all may know, I play a lot of fantasy baseball. So I pay more attention to players people normally wouldn't pay attention to, because of that. Not just because of doing the Braves every day, but the fantasy baseball, you become familiar with guys that your average fan goes, who? Well, Clark Schmidt has been solid, and pulling up his game log from, we'll take it back to the beginning of July. I think if you go back any further, it's a little disingenuous. He went 5 and gave up 3 against Baltimore. You know what? Let's go ahead and start after the All-Star break, right? He went 6 in Colorado, only gave up 2. At home against Kansas City, 5 2/3, gave up 3. At Baltimore, 5 and gave up 3. At home against Houston, 5 and gave up 2. And his last time out in Chicago against the White Sox, gave up 1 over 5 1/3. So a solid starting pitcher. You got to expect that it's going to be, even though the Braves lead Major League Baseball in runs scored in the first inning, and their run differential in the first inning is larger than any team's run differential in any inning. And that's a heck of a way to get a game started, right? But don't be alarmed if the Braves are scuffling at the beginning, because what it shows with Clark Schmidt is that he's pretty tough on a lineup the first and second time through the lineup. When you get him around to the third, is with a lot of pitchers, that's when you can get to him. But looking at what he does, he is a bit of a power pitcher. By the way, he's from Ackworth, Georgia. So born and bred in Braves country. Looking at how many strikeouts he gets, he is a swing and miss guy, but not a big swing and miss guy normally. But sometimes he gets on a roll, especially on the weaker lineups. Against the White Sox, 7 strikeouts. Back in Colorado, 8 strikeouts. He did strike out the Orioles 7 times, but the second time he faces them in about a month span, only strikes them out twice. That gives you an idea that the Orioles had just seen him and made the adjustments and were able to put the ball in play. If the Braves put the ball in play, that's going to be the key thing, not get a bunch of strikeouts. The Braves are so much better, so much more fun to watch, as they have eliminated the strikeouts as being their big Achilles heel over the last several years. You remember, it hasn't been that long ago that that's all they were, swing and miss. That's all you saw. It was so damn bland to watch that. And now they put the ball in play, even if it is a grounder over to third base. It's much more fun to watch Ronald Acuna Jr. try to beat one out in the infield and put the ball in play. Because first of all, he hits it hard enough. And he hits the ball hard a lot of times over there. Sometimes he gets through the hole. You also put the pressure on the defense. But if the Braves can put the ball in play, the one thing that I do know about the Yankees, because I listen to New York radio a lot, they have had issues on defense. So if we can put the ball in play, it gives us even a better chance. Braves do come in this morning. They were minus 205 on the money line, and the over-under was 9. So do with that as you may. But it's Fried versus Schmidt tonight. Tomorrow night, the Atlanta Braves would have Bryce Elder on the mound versus Luis Severino. Severino is not the Severino. It's not your slightly older brother Severino. Severino this year is 2-7 with an 8.06 ERA. I don't know what the line's going to be, but I can't get to the window quick enough. 8.06 ERA going into Truist Park to face his Atlanta Braves. Unless they're sleepwalking, the Braves ought to bang. Give you an idea of what he has given up in his last several outings. Whatever I'm trying to say. Right after the All-Star break, looked pretty good going against the Angels. I don't think they had Mike Trout, but going up against the Angels. 6, 1 earned run. All right. Came back home to face the Royals. 5 2/3, 8 hits allowed, 3 earned runs, 2 home runs. Not loving that. But they did get the win, so you kind of left, and he got the win, so you kind of lived with it. This is where it's gotten ugly for Luis Severino. In Baltimore, 3 1/3, 9 earned runs, 10 hits, a home run. Did strike out 5. He still has the strikeout pitch, but 9 earned runs in Baltimore. All right, well, sometimes guys just have a bad outing. Comes home against Houston. 4 innings, 5 earned runs. So it's not the fact that he was on the road. All right. Well, now he goes against the White Sox. Come on, dude. The White Sox are just not a good baseball team. They're in shambles. This is shortly after the Tim Anderson beat down. Like this, come on. You got to get right here. At the White Sox. Not really a pitcher-friendly park. 2 innings. 4 earned runs. 5 hits allowed, 4 runs, only strikes out 2. Unbelievable. By the way, just before the All-Star break, he went up against the Orioles and the Cardinals, and this is really where it started showing that there were some real issues with Severino. Because people had a jolt of, hey, maybe he's turned it around coming out of the All-Star break. But right before that, 2 2/3 versus Baltimore, 7 earned. At St. Louis, 4 innings, 7 earned. The confusing thing is he's at home against Texas in late June, 6 and shuts them out. But before that, 4 other outings consecutively. 7 runs, 4 runs, 5 runs, 3 runs. And the 5 runs and the 4 runs given up against the White Sox and the Mets. 2 of the weaker offenses in baseball. So the Braves have a decided advantage. Now we got Elder on the mound. He has been rough, but he hasn't been batting practice bad. He hasn't been like the way we saw Yanni on Sunday night. Elder has had pockets where he has lost his control, his pinpoint, and he's owned up to him. I've seen him in interviews. He's owned up to him, basically said, I got to be more consistent, yada, yada, yada. Well, this is a time to do it. The Yankees are not the Bronx Bombers of old. Yes, they do have a couple of guys you have to worry about in the lineup, but top to bottom, if you pitch around, basically what the Yankees nowadays have is Judge. Stanton's been hitting a little better recently. So we know those two can bang when they're in the lineup. Outside of that, it's a pretty light hitting lineup. It's not even like a couple years ago when I thought the Yankees were not that great, but they were hitting a lot of home runs, and it showed in the postseason because their pitching fell apart. But they had a lot of home runs in the lineup. That's not what the Yankees are now. They're sit around and wait for one of their 2 big boppers to come through. If not, it's a lot of stringing hits together to score. So that's the game on Tuesday night. And then on Wednesday night, that matchup, the Braves, by the way, all 3 of these are 7:20 first pitch. There is no day game. They do that for a couple of things. A, it's August, hotter than hell. B, they're playing the Yankees, and they want those nighttime seats. And fair enough, why wouldn't you? This is the game on Wednesday that I'm the most concerned about. And you wouldn't think this. You wouldn't think this in a million years. But Randy Vasquez, is going to be on the mound for the New York Yankees. He hasn't gone deep into games, but he is 2-1 with a 1.89 ERA. His last time out, he got battered around a little bit by the Marlins, still went 3 2/3, only gave up 2. His pitch count got kind of high for him. They were stretching him back out. And what you're looking at for Vasquez is that he's typically 75 to 80 pitches. That's his limit at this point. And then they go get him. And really a lot has to do with the fact they don't want the lineup to see him more than twice. Kind of like what they should have been doing with Yanni on Sunday night, because when he got to around that point, when you saw him the second, even towards the end of the second time through, he was done. People were teeing off on him. They were spitting on his pitches that were just missing the zone. But back to this, the outing prior to that, which was about a month ago because they did send him down, 5 innings, no earned. Thursday, June 8th, which is once again about a month. He's getting about a start a month. This is going to be his second start in 5 days. So, I mean, they're putting him through the grinder at this point. He gets 1 start a month in the majors. All of a sudden, he gets back-to-back. So they must like what they see. But back in May, against the Padres, went 4 2/3 and gave up 2. And against the White Sox in June, went 5 2/3, gave up none. So this will be the best offense he has seen. But at the same token, he's been keeping the runs off the board, which the name of the game is to outscore your opponent. So he's doing that. He's going to be going up against Charlie Morton. And Charlie Morton, let's be honest, is a shell of his former self. Charlie Morton has struggled. He pitched pretty well against the Mets, but the Mets, come on. The Mets that we saw this weekend, other than Saturday nights and Sunday nights game, those were basically AA, AAA lineups. They didn't have Lindor. They had a bunch of scrubs in there playing. I mean, the Friday Saturday morning game was unbelievably laughable. Not only was the score 21-3, and people were like, "Man, Winans! I can't believe they sent him down. Holy cow, he's looked really good." And look, I'll be honest with you, if it worked out, it was just the way we were in the lineup. But if it worked out, I would have liked to have seen Winans stay up. Don't get me wrong, but who was going to pitch Sunday, right? I would have liked to have seen him just go Yanni on short rest on Saturday. I mentioned this the other day. Have Yanni go on short rest on Saturday. Have him just go a couple innings. Probably would have pitched a hell of a lot better. Wouldn't have been asked to do as much. And have Winans go on either Saturday night or Sunday and have Strider pitch the other game. Honest engine, it would have been smarter to just give Strider an extra day of rest, have Winans pitch. But whatever. They don't ask us, but we tell them anyways what we would have liked to have seen. But Morton, looked better when you look at 5 earned or 5 innings, no earned. That's great. He walked 7 batters. This guy is walking guys left and right. Let me read off to you what he has done in the last 4 starts. We're just going in 4 starts. He has walked in 4 starts a total of 18 batters. That's in just 19, just over 20 innings. That's a walking inning. That's absurd. You can't have that. And he's hitting batters. He always has. This is a real concern going into October. If Kyle Wright is your number 3, and that is a big if right now. But let's say they're convinced Wright's going to be rocking and rolling. If Kyle Wright is your number 3 and Bryce Elder can't pull it back together, I do have faith in Bryce. Don't get me wrong. He's one of my favorite pitchers to watch. I love a crafty pitcher. I love a guy who can't blow you away. So he's got a decent fastball, but he gets you timed off by the sinker. But if he doesn't get it back together, who in the world is going to be our number 4 starter? You go into that first series, assuming that we get the bye. It's a best out of 5. You have Max Fried, Spencer Strider, and hopefully Kyle Wright. What if the series is 1-2? We would be on the road at that point, trying to get the Game 5 back to Atlanta for Max Fried to close out the deal. How do you win that game? because Charlie Morton has not proven over the last few months that you can trust him. Every once in a while, he'll throw a gem. But we got to see some consistency. How the hell do you roll him out there in good conscience, knowing that your entire season's on the line, best record in baseball? Put the best record aside. This has been the best team in baseball, top to bottom, all year long. How do you do it? You feel almost the pressure to sweep in the first round. So you can get some guys some rest and start back over in the NLCS. That's tough. That is tough. So I want to see much better out of Charlie Morton. I want to see Charlie Morton string together 3-4 good outings in a row. They don't have to be shut down, but give me 6 innings. Give me a quality start where you're not running your pitch count up and walking a bunch of folks. He's gone 6 innings one time in the past month. Before that, he went 7-6, 5 2/3, a little bit of a bumpy stretch. But all in all, Charlie Morton's just showing signs of age. And I get that, man. Father Time's undefeated, as they say, right? But that has nothing to do with the fact that we're trying to win a World Series. And Charlie Morton, I've been mentioning this for a while. I like the idea of him going back to the bullpen come October. Remember, he had been in the bullpen a long time in his career. He was not an everyday starter. He was not. Now, he developed into a pretty darn good starter and a guy who can get swing and miss. But right now, for whatever reason, and it's not really his stuff. The curveball is still there. He's just misplacing it. The fastball is still topping out at 97 miles an hour. But he hasn't been that consistent. And Bryce Elder, if he can get back to form, and Elder hasn't been awful, but if he can get back to where he was a month or so ago, basically since the All-Star break, I felt like the All-Star break, he hit a wall. But if he can get him back there, and Kyle Wright's pitching well, I like that front four a lot more. And can you imagine if you've got Charlie Morton coming out of the bullpen with his mentality? I think he could be a very good piece in the bullpen. If you need a long stretch, you could go to Charlie, but I'm talking about a guy coming in that gives you an extra right-hander that can throw 97 and a nasty curve. And one time through the lineup, that's a lot. You're talking about it. That's a lot different game than Charlie have to think, well, I got to throw this now because I got to set this guy up for later. He can just go out there and throw 97, blow him away, and then drop the curve in there when he gets 2 strikes. Something to think about, but Charlie Morton, if he wants to be in the rotation come October and legitimately deserve to be in the rotation come October, we got to start seeing it Wednesday against Randy Vasquez. I do believe the Braves are going to win the series. They've got an opportunity to sweep because on paper, we are much better at every start. But they don't play baseball games on paper. They play them inside your radios, right? So I do think the Braves are going to win the series. I'd love a sweep, but I'll say it till the day I die. I never assume a sweep. And then we'll be looking ahead towards the San Francisco series, as we will have Thursday off. Thankfully, they'll get a rest and then play San Francisco this coming weekend, who's having a really good season in their own right. And then we host the Mets again. So we'll see the Mets again next week in Truist Park this time. And those games, they're Those are all night games as well, it looks like. I was seeing if that last game, that last getaway day is, but no, those are all night games as well. Once again, August, once against New York fan base. They were thinking back when they scheduled this that the Mets would be in the race. When you look at that, then we start that brutal road trip that I am cringing over, where we're going to go to San Francisco. So we're going to see the Giants twice in about a week's time. We're going to go to San Francisco. We're going to squeeze in a trip to Colorado and then finish it off on Labor Day weekend. A 4-game set at the Dodgers. That is going to be, it's going to be fun, but that is going to be rough. And even with the West Coast games, we're bringing most of them to you. Even those late starts, I've got some things worked out, and we're going to bring most of them to you. I believe the only one we might miss is that Saturday night game. I think all the other ones, I'm pretty sure we're going to have, even on the West Coast trip. So for you night owls or those that wake up in the morning and want to catch the game, I know a lot of folks do it that way instead. We will have it pitch by pitch, play by play. The only one that I know that we're not going to do is the late night game Saturday night, September 2nd. I've got something that I got going on that celebrating my birthday weekend. Birthday's actually the week before, but celebrating my birthday weekend, I have a lot of folks coming over the house, and I'm sorry, last thing you'd want is for me to try to attempt to do any kind of play-by-play at 9:10 Eastern on a Saturday night. Not to mention it's the beginning of college football, and what we saw last year is that people kind of tuned out on Saturdays. So we're going to play those by ear, but people kind of tuned out on Saturdays college football. So we're going to bring you some of those Saturday games, but we're going to kind of play it by ear and pick and choose, because those do not get very good reception from all. It'd be a little different if people were still into it, but it seems like that college football starts, people tune out, especially when the Braves are running away with the division. I think it'd be a different story if that was a huge series going up against a division rival and we were fighting it out for the division. When we get back from that series, by the way, this is where the rubber will meet the road. We will then be in the home stretch in September. And remember, though we have a healthy lead, we do face the Phillies twice, 2 series in September. But we also get to face the Nationals twice. So if we take care of business with the teams we're supposed to beat, not only should the division be a lock, but we should, down the stretch, be able to sew up best record in baseball. That's a long ways away. Real quick, did want to talk about the MVP race. Is it Acuna? Is it Olson? Is it somebody else? Look, right now, the odds on money is for the MVP is Ronald Acuna Jr. It's not particularly close. Looking at the numbers right now for Vegas, they usually have a pretty good beat on this. But Ronald Acuna Jr., I saw last night, was minus 850. I'm looking at it now. Is this? Well, this was a week ago that there was an article up. So it does tell you this. It started to close a little bit. So a week ago, Ronald Acuna Jr., FanDuel, DraftKings, and whatever Bet365 is, they were all consensus. Ronald Acuna Jr. minus 1,600 to win the NL MVP. That means you have to bet $1,600 to win 100. So terrible odds because they think it's a slam dunk. Freddie Freeman plus 800. Even one book had him plus 1,000. Mookie Betts plus 4,500. Matt Olson plus 5,500. Now that was last week. Last night, they had it as Ronald Acuna Jr. was now minus 850, I think it was. Freddie Freeman was plus, he was still in that same neighborhood, plus 450, plus 500, somewhere in the neighborhood. But this is how you know that he's making a move. Matt Olson went from no way in hell is it happening to plus 2,000. I still love the plus 2,000. If you're making a bet, if I'm making a bet on one of these, I'm riding Matt Olson. I'm riding that horse down the stretch. I still think right now Acuna is going to win the MVP if the bet was taken today. I mean, if the vote was taken today. But I like the odds when you're talking about a betting odd of Matt Olson plus 2,000. You're talking about being able to lay in $10 to win what, 200? Matt Olson leads Major League Baseball in RBIs. He leads Major League Baseball in home runs. The weirdest part about this is I was looking at Major League Baseball's WAR. For those of y'all who don't follow WAR, wins above replacement. The short of it is it's basically a metric to show who is the most valuable player to a team adding wins to the win column. And I'll go with Fangraphs WAR. There's several different, because there's different measures. That's why the WAR changes. That's why it's a little bit of a goofy stat. But this is the WAR today. And this is odd. This is why I say WAR, you take it with a grain of salt. It's a good metrics, but it's not the end all that beats all. Shohei Ohtani leads with 8.2. All right, that's fair enough. He pitches and he's leading the AL in home runs. I'm a little surprised it's not higher, to be honest with you. Ronald Acuna Jr. leads all normal players, right? Ones without magical powers that can throw and hit simultaneously with a 6.4. Freddie Freeman a 6.0. And way down below, Mookie Betts, Wander Franco. Ugh, is that not a creepy story? He's dating a 14-year-old? What are you doing, son? That's not going to turn out well. Marcus Semien, Luis Robert, really? Luis Robert? And Matt Olson sits right below them at a 4.5. Matt Olson's WAR is barely above Ha-Seong Kim. What in the hell are we talking about? We've been told all this time that, oh, don't pay attention to the batting average. You got to worry about what kind of runs they're producing, blah, blah, blah. You look at the OPS of him, Ronald Acuna Jr., pick today, one's higher than the other. It's neck and neck. Because I've gone by OPS for a lot longer than I think most people have, but OPS is much more indicative of what you're really doing. It means when you do hit the ball, where does it go and where do you land up on? Are you rattling a lot of singles like a Luis Arias of the Marlins, or are you making it count? Leading home runs, leading RBIs, an OPS near 1,000. What are we talking about having him that low? Makes zero sense. So just about the time they try to convince me WAR is a good number, is a good metric, I see this. There's no way on God's green earth anybody would take Luis Robert, Kim, who else is in his neighborhood? Francisco Lindor this year is 3 points below Matt Olson. Matt Olson is 3 points below Wander Franco. 2 points below Luis Robert. So what you're trying to tell me is that the distance between Matt Olson and Francisco Lindor's had a terrible year this year by his standards is about the same as Matt Olson and Luis Robert. Get the hell out of here. Robert's a fine player. He's a good player. He's not having a Matt Olson year. So I got to throw these out the window. Personally, right now, I probably would vote for Matt Olson, although I do believe that Acuna is going to get the votes. A lot of it has to do with the fact he's been being hyped all year long. Matt Olson's kind of surged out of nowhere. If Olson gets red hot, though, he could win this award, but it would take a red hot September as well. He's been really good here in August. Darn good. Smoking hot. But when you talk about the votes have to be in by the end of the regular season, most of them are going to put it off until that last week. What are you doing leading up? So there you have that. Right now, I just hope one of them wins it, and Freddie Freeman doesn't sneak in the back door on some nonsense where folks are splitting their votes with Acuna and Olson and propelling Freddie up the ranks. I don't think that'll happen. I do believe it's going to end up being Acuna, Olson, some version of that, or Olson and Acuna, and Freddie finishing third. All right. That'll about do it for us today here on Braves Country Brunch. Just want to talk some Braves baseball because we're in the thick of football season now. In our live 3 to 5 show, we'll still be talking baseball, but we get a lot of football talk. And Mondays are tough to squeeze in baseball. And Thursdays are going to be tough to squeeze in. So those are the 2 days that we're going to be doing Braves Country today when there's not a game that's pushing us out. There's an early game on a Monday or a Thursday, then forget it. But we'll be doing that down the stretch till the end of the season, and then we'll figure it out, play it by ear. This will probably be more something that'll take place on the days where the Braves play in the postseason. But y'all have a good day. Hopefully y'all enjoyed this a little bit. Please smash that like. Please subscribe. We're seeing the subscriptions go up. Our hope is that we can get up to 20,000 subscriptions by October going into the postseason. We got a ways to go, but we're seeing it trend up a little bit. So hopefully we hit that. Also, real quick, I'll go ahead and give you my pick to click tonight with Schmidt on the mound. Look, I just banged the drum for him. Give me Matt Olson again. I know it's improbable for him to go out there and roast another one over the wall, but give me Olson again. The dude is just he's in his zone right now, and he's back home. I think he's going to get 2 home runs in this series. Hopefully I'm right that one of them is tonight. Pick to click, Matt Olson, going to ride that puppy, and I think the Braves win this. I think they'll finally get to Clark Schmidt, put some runs on the board. Give me a fairly high-scoring game. Max Fried goes out and pitches well. We'll take the Braves to win this one, going away 6-2. Y'all have a good one. Braves Country Brunch, Mondays and Thursdays.
You're in Braves Country.